Looking ahead to 2013 and freight volumes, the current volatility and uncertainty makes freight forecasting a challenge.
We are seeing an increase in volume, and again, I'll use that with respect to the comments that Don made earlier this morning around growth and expected growth within the industry. In our case, we have 73 projects on the slate for this year. It's all publicly available. A number of those projects are slated to open in the next month, so what that's going to do is give us a large amount of organic growth internally in terms of some of those Zellers acquisitions that'll come online in the next month. But with that, any growth we do have, regardless of the size of that growth, will actually be what we'll look to do is leverage our carrier partners on a regional basis and a national basis to be able to find ways to make sure that we're providing the best possible service to our customers.
Luce Merlis noted that transportation media's own research shows year after year, shippers tend to be more optimistic than carriers on freight volume outlooks.
One interesting fact that we find every year is that shipper projections for freight volumes for the coming year always tend to be more optimistic than that of carriers. For one reason or another, carriers don't seem to believe that freight volumes will increase as much as their own customers believe that they will increase. So I want to take it now to the two carrier representatives on the panel and get your thoughts on what freight volumes you're expecting for 2013. Doug, let's start with you.
Well, we're hoping for increased volumes, of course, hoping and praying, but I personally don't think we may, if whatever volumes we're getting, we're going to get off our competitors. The pie isn't getting bigger, so we're kind of fighting for the share of the pie and trying to get our piece and try to get a little bit more from competition. That's why the service is so important, that we can win it by service, not just on price. But beyond that, everything you see and hear in the economy, be it the European problems or the U.S. issues and what have you, bode for probably, I'd say, flat overall GDP. So if we're into flat GDP, that means that somebody will win and lose, but the actual level of freight volumes won't probably increase by much, I wouldn't think.
Are there any sectors in particular that you're really enthusiastic about for next year?
Well, we have a cold chain division where we do work for pharmaceutical and things like that, like niche markets, resource-based type of moves where we're hauling in the north, like cement and chemicals up into the mining community are good areas. So it's not all bad, but there's just really not a lot of growth. It's a question of where we can get it off other people and try to be in market segments that are niche areas.
For rail carriers, service improvements and intermodal growth are expected to give volumes some lift in 2013. Marine carriers have been severely affected by the global economy. What are their expectations going into 2013?
Most of them are talking somewhere in the area, an increase in globally, I'm talking now, 3 to 5% in international trade, in international trade. And that's based on basically a GDP, global GDP of 1.5%. So that's, it's not, and compared to past years, that's very low, 3 to 5%. I mean, it's so it looks like a flat year, and I guess they're going to have to take a look at how they're going to what they're going to do with their assets, and maybe have to park more ships.